something to make it higher.
No, that looks good, but this is a better angle.
Just give me 1 second.
Bring your volume down. Just lower.
No.
It's no volume on it.
Here we are, live media assets.
Should I share
And
that?
we are
To the
live.
Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property. We're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation. And now, we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. So tonight, we have a great show for you tonight. So tonight we're starting with Elvis Piggot, who is running for the Tampa City Council. After Elvis, we'll have on Dr. Cametra Edwards, who will be talking to us about school grades and the impact that has on communities. And then our last guest tonight will be School Board Member Karen Perez, who's going to talk to us a little about these school zone cameras. So, Elvis, welcome tonight.
Welcome. Thank you for having me, to both of you, a host and co-host.
Well,
Welcome, Elvis, to the Black Independent.
Yes, we are very happy to have you on our 5th episode. So you are our number 5 guest. So Elvis, you've stepped into the race as one of 13 candidates, and you're positioning yourself as the people's choice. So in District 5, whoever wins this seat is going to need leverage. We're going to jump right into the questions with you, because nothing gets passed without at least 3 council votes. How do you see yourself building that kind of leverage so the community's needs are not only heard, but actually acted on?
Thank you so much for the question. Believe it or not, my philosophy behind this, and when I hear that often, that you need 4 votes and you can't get things passed, that is absolutely true. But when we look at the history of this seat, the real crutch and the cripple of this seat has not been getting the other 3 votes. It's been pushing the people's decisions and the people's desire from District 5. The real problem is having someone in this seat that will actually do the people's bidding and not their own. When we really look at it, we got the people that sits on the city council that wants to see progress and want to help with whatever initiative that is pushed from this person sitting in this seat. The real problem is that when we get someone in this seat, what happens when they ignore the people's desire and focus on their own? So I want to really make it clear that it's constantly hearing about how many votes we need. We really need a champion in this seat that will actually leverage and have a conversation with other council on the dais to ask them to do a vote that will push our district forward. So I really think the real problem has not been the other 3 votes. The real problem has been District 5 vote, that we don't bring anything to them. And so therefore they're focusing on their districts and making sure that their people get what they need while we're sitting quiet, and longest making sure that we get what we want versus what the people deserve in this seat.
When you
Let me
say,
ask you this, Elvis, and we're
Go
going to
ahead.
stop it because we're going to do this in 30 minutes. Particularly the other 3 at large, they represent District 5 as well.
Absolutely.
And I think we kind of sort of have dropped the ball on them, because they too have seen for 30 years, maybe shorter, how District 5 has gone into decline, and they have not stepped up, and they have not. So we're going to hold everyone accountable, and not just the 3 at large, really all of those people who sit on the dais should be looking forward, pushing Sulphur Springs, East Tampa ahead.
And I will say this to that. I agree. But in all respect, no one will fight for us harder than we fight for us.
Sure.
And when they see we care less, they care less. that District 5 representative have to be loud. That District 5 representative has to push the agenda. I have talked to councilmen, I have talked to commissioners, and I have heard them say, I've talked to board members on the school board, and I've heard them say, listen, we don't want to step over and we don't want to step in the way.
I'm going to call that BS because they don't, but they want our vote and they should. Okay. Particularly when they see the people out there fighting. But we're going to move on to the next question. I hear where you're coming.
Yeah, and hold on to that thought, because I agree with you. And when you say we, are we talking about you being loud, or what about the people behind you, which in my opinion is your leverage? And if you don't have that, then nobody is going to pay attention to you. So very good. Thank you. So second question, and this is on schools as a reflection of the community, which is sort of a phrase that I've coined. So you've spent a lot of time, I see you often, volunteering in our Title I schools. So you know the struggles firsthand. Year after year, the elementary schools that pull straight from the neighborhoods in District 5 end up with D or F grades. And you can track that back for 10, maybe 20 years, sometimes bumping up to a C, but it never really lasts. Those grades often feel like a direct reflection of the challenges that those families are facing in the community. Meanwhile, in more affluent areas, the opposite is true. How do you see your role as a council member working alongside leaders like Sheikh Washington on the school board or Gwen Myers on the county commission in stabilizing families and improving neighborhoods so children have a better shot at success?
It's important. Jeanette Bradley, if the truth be told, it is so critical and vital that everyone can't do their own thing. Because when you look at District 5 City Council, when these terms typically is over, we typically will get in the seat and run for County Commission District 3. And why? Because it covers the same area. There's no way possible that we could be sitting in these seats and do our own thing. I most definitely will reach out and have those conversations with not only Sheikh Washington as the school board and Gwen Myers, but those at-large commissioners and at-large school board members at the table to say, hey, what can we do? Because we understood, and being involved and being a part of it, then you take it personal. What we do understand is a failing school typically reflects a failing community. And so when we really look at that and look at the struggles of our everyday parents, you really can't fight for what you cannot encounter, what you've never encountered. When I've been at these schools, and I know you've experienced it, being at Edison and different schools in our district, when I'm at these schools, I've watched our elementary kids get from school at the end of the day, get on the city bus, go all the way to Kennedy, get off the bus at Kennedy, walk into McDonald's and sit there to 11:30 at night, waiting on mom to get from work because she's working at McDonald's and she can't call out from work. She's working 2 and 3 jobs. We don't have the parent involvement, but why? These mothers is trying to make sure the lights stay on and the roof is over their kids' head. We got to make sure that we make life better, and we pull some of these burdens by making sure our parents have the resources and information they need for them to thrive and be more involved in their kids' education. And that takes collectively all of us sitting at the table, strategizing on what it looks like, not just with elected officials, but also with those community leaders that's doing the work.
What does that look like in your role as Tampa City Council member? What kind of policies, what do you think you would do in that role to assist those stabilizing those families?
I think, and I want to be clear when I say this, and I don't want anyone to misunderstand me. Some things, Ms. Bradley, don't need policy. Some things just need passion. Some things need compassion. What that looks like for me is sitting with those elected officials, having the conversation to see what's needed to be done and see what each one of us have the ability to do in our capacity, because it's going to be a collective effort. And perhaps it may be something that we want to get done, but only the school board, Sheikh Washington, can do that. And perhaps it may be only Gwen Myers in the county can do that. And then only city council, what I can do. So I think we have to stay within our area of our expertise of what we can do. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to affordable housing, when it comes down to making sure that we are making it accessible to families to be able to live in the areas where they are trying to work and trying to make sure that their kids get a good education, I think those things is very important. And I would do whatever it takes to make sure that we can stabilize our families, because the real issue is we got children that is going to 3 and 4 schools, even in elementary. They're moving, eviction, or put out. It's no stability, and the child have to do what? Go from one school to another school to another school. And if you've never encountered it personally, where I can talk from a family member perspective, where you can look at a 9th grader and they done been in 8 schools in the process from in the elementary to middle school, then you don't understand the red flags and how important and how crucial it is to bring some stability to these families.
So, and Mona, we do have a little time because I don't have that many questions because I want to dig deep into the ones that we're asking. So for you as a Tampa City Council member, understanding the transient nature of kids that go to these schools or families that send kids to these schools. And I'm seeing them be there for 1 year, maybe the next, but they're gone. And kids will say before they're leaving at the end of the school year, I might not be here next year. And I hear that constantly. From your perspective, what kind of impact can Tampa City Council have on stabilizing these families? What are they faced with? Why do you think they are moving from school to school?
I really believe wholeheartedly it's all about housing. I keeping up with housing. I think it's just the demand of every year rent increase. Increased rent, but salaries is not. I really think that parents really are, and then at the end of the day, perhaps mom may lose her job. We're talking real life issues that happen within our community, that mom may have to leave. I was at one of the schools, and the young man came to school and he was sharing with me about how he had to duck under the car because his mom was getting into an altercation outside. And, all these things is actually happening, and he's in 4th grade. And so when we really dig into it, in order to stabilize our families, we've got to really get serious on housing. That affordable housing piece is very crucial to keeping families together and keeping families in one location.
Okay, thank you. Mona, do you have any follow-ups?
Yes. And I'm going to touch on housing. I listen to city council, and when we say affordable housing, maybe in the last 6 or 7 years, I really understood what affordable housings are. And when you got inside of East Tampa, houses going for 300,000 plus 400, 500. And I know that most of the people that sit on city council, they can't even afford it. But they'll sit there and say this is okay. How can you, or what would you do to make sure that we have houses that parents could afford who's making $30,000 a year?
I think our leverage comes when we're using our taxpayer money, right? When we deal with that CRA, when we're dealing with those things and they're coming to the board asking for money, that's where we have our leverage. We have to be able to have that conversation with those developers, that if you're developing, you have to develop these properties if you want our money. We cannot, of course, we know what's happening in Tallahassee. We cannot do rent control. We understand that that's taking place. We can't do that in the next 10 years or so. But at the end of the day, what has to happen is if you're getting money, you're requesting an amount of money from us. A perfect example, when we looked at the last of the $5 million that was requested for the Nebraska project, that project kind of rubbed me wrong in a little bit. And the reason why was the way it came off. How I perceived that, watching that, listening to that was, hey, if you don't give us the $5 million, then perhaps how the housing that we have affordable, it won't be affordable anymore. So you give us the money, or we'll take off affordable housing off the table, and we'll drop it from the percentage that you wanted us to go at, and we'll just go ahead, because we don't know how we'll continue the property. I think I think number one, I understand the negotiation methods, and I get what where they're coming, but I think we have to be able to be very strategic when it comes down to releasing CRA monies. I really believe a lot of these monies should be going to the Black-owned minority businesses within the area that can relate to what affordable housing is, that is trying to build to put people in homes versus build to put themselves in mansions. I think that's the concern. And if we're not having that real talk, we're in trouble.
Yes. Well, here's the thing, what I was looking at. So we're saying now, teachers, firefighters, police officers whose probably salary starting at $60,000, they need help too. So it appears that they're trying to help them and forgetting about that lower tier. I don't know how we could do a balance and say everyone might need a little help. But I don't think that somebody making $60,000 want to be paying $2,800 a month in the mortgage. I don't understand how that could work.
Well, I would say this, and we have to see
it. Make this your final point, and then I'm going to move us on.
Okay, we have to just see it. We have to see it where it is. Always remember, money weeds out what they don't want.
Yes.
That's the bottom line. If you want a certain people in a certain area, you come with the prices. These prices is a reflection of who they want in areas. That's the bottom line.
Okay, thank you so
Great
much.
answer. Thank you.
All right. So let's talk about unpopular but necessary policies. And I know of one that seems to be floating around now that is the topic of discussion. Sometimes policies make it through the council but don't get implemented the way that they should, especially if they cater to a specific group or if the administration drags its feet. How would you respond if the council passed something important for District 5, but the administration didn't follow through? How would you make sure our community isn't left waiting for promises that never materialize? And if you know of any examples, use them.
I would say what we need to do is revisit the charter, right? I think we need to be able to have that conversation, revisit it, that we can put time limit on when the administration should be getting things done. As long as it's open, that the administration is a strong mayor form of government, and the administration has a right to either use the funds to do what's necessary or don't, until we can go back to that charter and put something in the charter that binds the hand of the mayor, that if this is voted on by the city council, it need to be done within a certain amount of time, we'll still be stuck there, because you can't make them do anything. The charter changes. When you change policy, you change behaviors. We have to change some policies and look into that charter and see what we can do collectively to get these things moving, because the purpose of voting on things is to actually get it done.
Right, but as a Tampa City Council member from District 5, one particular, resolution that you did pass, the Tampa City Council, is Resolution 568. That's a big topic of conversation. I don't think it's real popular, but it was passed. How would you address that?
I think having conversation about it, because what has happened and what often happens is that they will pass resolutions, and resolutions pretty much is something that they say, okay, we have passed this resolution for you to be quiet and say we did nothing. We did something for you, but never go and follow up and actually put some finances towards it to actually make it right. And I think when this resolution was even brought to the dais and it was passed, I don't believe they passed it in the intent to do anything in the beginning. It is an intent to simply say, be quiet. We gave you what you want. Now let's move on. And it's going to take a councilman that is strong enough, to not going to play favorites, not going to look for no advancements, and not trying to rub elbows, to simply say, okay, we passed it. Now how are we going to make our wrong right? Simply pull on the same councilman that was there and passed it to say what we're going to do now. and go back to make sure that we deal with our charter and make sure that once we get to that place that we can put some real funds behind it, that we got the charter that supports us to say the mayor have to act upon it.
Okay. Mona, you have anything? Because we have about 10 minutes left, and so we'll have some time.
I think
Nope. Yes. So let me ask you this. This was a big thing in the last council when the mayor was putting the chief of police up. Now, the community was against that election, that particular chief of police. And the council people said, well, one council person said, I'm sorry, but I would never vote against the mayor. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't say that, because if you saying that to the community, that means you're voting against the community. Your loyalty should be to the community. We put you there. How do you feel about that?
Well, Mona, it is clear how the community feel about it. Same councilman no longer have a seat. The
Yes.
community spoke. That's what
Yes.
happens.
Yes.
One thing we have to remember is that we go to city council off the recommendation and the support of the community. The community puts us there. And I said this because I'm a data person. We typically have to make sure we have a board member that a councilman that understands this. What do we understand? The voting block that puts you in that seat comes from Hannah, that large voting block. They put you there. Downtown Channelside, Ybor City, and Tampa Heights, and downtown and Ybor. We love them. They're all part of District 5. But make no mistake, check the records. The people that get underrepresented is the people that goes out and vote that asks for representation. And so we got to make sure that we can refocus and say at the end of the day, I'm going to fight and everyone else do it. South Tampa going to do it. Every other one of those districts, they're going to fight for what their constituents is telling them to fight for. And we, again, has been our biggest problem. We put people in this seat that gets up there and want favors and want to sit with the big dogs and forget where they come from and who put them there. So I could tell you that I was relevant before I got there. Sitting in this seat won't make me feel important. Doing the work of the people will. And that's what I want to do. And I will continue to advocate and fight for those that elect me to this seat.
Well, you've always said you want to be the people's voice. And I think what you're saying is people that have been elected into the seat have not typically carried that forth, but you promised to do that. So what does that mean in practical terms, that you are the people's voice?
Getting into the community, having conversations, not just winning the seat and forgetting the people once you got there. What we do to get the seat is what I would do remaining in the seat. I want to go out there and I want to have those town halls. But most of all, I want to go sometimes and have door-to-door conversations. I want to go to those neighborhood associations and say, how can we help you? What is it that you need? What is it that you see that your area need? Go to these precincts. Hey, I'm in this precinct today. I want y'all to come and talk to me. Let me know. One biggest thing that I would do is have an open door policy, making sure my cell phone number right now is on every piece of literature, on the websites, on everywhere else. It would be the same. We want people to call us now, but when we win, everybody got to call our assistant. That won't happen when I take this seat. You can reach me now, you'll reach me then. I will advocate for the concerns, even if it's one person. It don't have to be 10 people. One person, because I asked for that person's vote. And if you're complaining about something or you're wanting an interest to be dealt with about something, your voice matters just like the other thousands that put me there. And so I'll take every vote and every voice serious when I'm elected as your city councilman.
Okay. All right. Let's look ahead for a moment. This is our final question, so you'll be able to, we have about 5 minutes to give you on this one. So if you're elected and 4 years from now, we look back, what's the tangible change you want the people of District 5 to be able to point to and say that happened because Elvis, fought for us? What do you want us to say? Elvis did that.
Consistent improvement in East Tampa and Zephyr Springs, every budget, not every other budget, but every budget, we will see consistent improvement. We will
But
see
I want to see something that I can point to. What do you see? What's your vision for these areas? Now, we understand that District 5 entails a lot more, but the distribution of the resources has not been equal. What are we going to do in Sulphur Springs and East Tampa? What are we going to point to say, if it weren't for Elvis, we wouldn't have these? What are we going to point to?
good question. I would say in Sulphur Springs, you'll be able to point to say that we would not have a development of an area and people still staying in the area. We would not in this, if it had not been for me, we would have been forced out. But when he became the councilman, he allowed the development to take place and we're all benefiting. I would want to see a strong, I would want to see strong economic development, young people working on every front. I want to see African-American men employed. I want to see, you will be able to see that the stadium, because no doubt if baseball come here and things come, you will be able to see that people are thriving and having an economic impact in District 5, meaning resources for entrepreneurs and Black businesses and things in District 5 will be flourishing when it comes down to economics. One particular tangible thing to say that will be done, I will want to see just nice affordable housing that takes place right in the middle of areas where we once seen people pushed out. I would want to see, because it's just really, that's really hard to put my name to say a park. Like we can put Custodian Park, we contribute that to Frank Redditt. Frank Redditt fought for Custodian Park to make sure that pool was fixed. You know, I will have to continue to say that one thing they'll be able to say is we have proper representation in District 5, and we know that whatever issues it is, we'll hear that on City Hall. One issue, whether it's roads or something, I could not put my hands on exactly one thing that I want my trademark to be, but I could say that I will work consistently, tirelessly throughout the entire district.
All right. And in 18 months, what do you think you can accomplish within the 15 to 18 months that you may have if you get into this seat?
The things I think I will accomplish is strong advocacy, strong conversation, and strong redirection. I think we'll have a strong redirection into the way things have been. It will be completely clear that we will not be doing business as usual. There will be a we will not in District 5 or in City of Tampa do business as usual. I think that they will know that in these 18 months that he is going to have conversations with the mayor, conversations with those administrators that is in the mayor's cabinet, Chief Bennett. We will have direct conversations on how we're planning to move this district forward. But what they will see in these 18 months will be strong collaboration with me and the mayor's administration and the mayor, that we will be coming out together talking about what we are planning for District 5 to move forward and how strong it would be. But we'll stand collectively front together in these 18 months. You'll see unity and collaboration.
Okay. So everybody, Elvis Piggot has made it clear that his run for the city is about more than just a seat at the table. It's about bringing your voice into every decision that affects District 5. Thank you, Elvis, for sharing your vision with us tonight.
I appreciate you all so much. Thank you so much, Mona. Thank you so much, Jeanette Bradley, for allowing me to come on and have this moment. And I would say to everybody, if you want to know anything about me, look me up. electelvis.com, www.electelvis.com. We're still in the marathon. We're running for our lives. I will really love your support and everything that you can give. Appreciate you guys again. Phenomenal program. Look forward to hearing the rest of your show later. Thank you so much.
You bet. And to our viewers, the race for this seat will shape the future of our neighborhoods. And I can't say that enough, because this will take us into the future. Stay tuned, stay informed, and most importantly, make your voice heard at the ballot box on September 9th.
Early voting starts September the 4th at your 4 major libraries in East Tampa. Check Elvis out. He's a good contender.
Absolutely. Okay.
Ready
We are
for
going to move. We're going to
moving
move
to
on
part two?
to, yeah, just give me 1 second and we're going to transition to the audience. We're going to transition to our next guest. Is she here already?
She is bringing her up.
Awesome.
Hello?
Thank you. So tonight, ready?
Yes.
So tonight we're joined by our friend, the one and only Dr. Cametra Edwards, an education consultant who I love to hear. Haven't heard her lately, but last year she was banging it with that advice to a lot of our families. I only wish more families could have joined in and heard and taken advantage of the wonderful nuggets that she was dropping.
Yes.
She spent years working closely with charter schools and public school system in the public school system. In District 5, many of our elementary schools have struggled with poor grades for a long time. And I see these every time those grades go out, I have to go and look to see who's doing better. I see those grades as a reflection, not just of what happens inside the classroom. I see that, but of how the entire community is performing. And I think most people don't seem to make that connection. So tonight we want to dig deeper into what those grades really mean, what's behind them, and most importantly, what role we as a community can play in helping to turn things around in District 3, because this is District 3 is actually Shake Washington's district, but it overlays with District 5 for the Tampa seat. Hello, Dr. Edwards.
Hello. I'm so excited to be on with you all tonight. Thank you for the invitation. It's good to be thought of.
Look at you.
Thank you for agreeing to join us.
Yes, looking beautiful as usual. I do miss your segments, by the way.
I appreciate you. You know, Jeanette, I stopped last year because I felt like I was hitting my head against the wall.
I understand
trying to get parents. I could have gone with many audiences, working with school leaders across the country. I have a lot of experience in school design, school leadership, school improvement, transformation schools. And I wanted to get to the parents because I felt like if parents understood what all of this means, right?
Yeah.
Like we would start to see things change and turn around. Maybe I stopped a little too soon. Maybe I will keep going. I do have a series that I've been writing. So I will keep going and publish at least one series, one back to school series. But I want to get to the heart of our parents in District 3, overlaid by District 5. Don't know why we never talk about that connection more frequently and more often, but we should.
We really should. But you really do great work and you talk to the people. I've sent your link to many of the parents that I work with. Now, I don't think that they are actually going and listening, but I agree with you. You can't stop. And what you do is of value to those parents in District 3. So Dr.
Jeanette, let me ask you this, and Cametra, because I know that all parents, Black parents, love their children. How can we help them see the importance? Because I used to have my clock set for 5:30 for Sunday for Cametra, and any young people in my family, I would do the same thing, send it, because I know how important it is. Now, when I had my daughter going to school, I was much more older, right? So I took in all that information and I had very little stress. But these young mothers who have so much stress, so much stuff going on, that I know they care and I know they want their children to be successful.
Absolutely.
How can we get them to take maybe 5-10 minutes out today? Cametra, you're going to have to figure that out. You and Jeannette, because all they have to do is engage just a little bit, bit.
Yeah, I don't know what to do either because the format was excellent. The information was great. You took took families from the first day of school all the
Yes.
way to the end, and then into the next year until they were ready to graduate for college, and you helped them with that too.
Yes.
It was like, oh my gosh, we got to understand the differences between the levels of classes, and you were that detailed. And I don't know how to answer your question. I'm not sure Cametra does either, but we know it's needed and necessary, and we'll just have to put our heads together on that. But
I
you know,
think we just have to also, let me say this.
Mhm.
And I'm more free this year than I was when I did that last year. You know, as you live, you get freer as you go along. And I will
It's an empty
say,
nester.
yes, I feel like the information is up against you have a major propaganda machine with the school district, right? I mean, the largest employer in the county. Hey, they have to, they tell their employees this is what it is. People believe it. And there are a lot of people who work for the school district who actually may not know some of the information that I share, may not even understand how school grades work, may not be clear, right? And they actually work there. They're the teachers, right? They're the leaders, and they may not be clear. And so, and I'm not saying that to say anything negative about anyone, but you have to understand, again, they're in a business. This is a business. Sometimes we forget and we think, oh, it's education. No, it's a business. And people want their business to be successful. And so I do think we're up against a lot of factors that want to not share the information in a way in which people feel empowered to make different decisions.
All right. So that last year, fine and dandy. But this year and going forward, given what is happening at the federal and the state level as those block grants start, divvying up Title I money to everybody, where they can go anywhere that they want to, those who can afford it, and others will be we have to find a way to develop some kind of grouping of parents that will definitely become educated consumers of their children's education. Because right now we're not consuming this information, and we are absolutely going to need it the more Title I schools sort of disappear into the ether. So talk a little, I know you want to say more on that.
Go ahead.
All right, but talk a little bit about your background. What makes you the expert in this area? Because your experience is just phenomenal. And I just want folks to know out there, we've got an expert among us right here in the hood, as they say, and we need to be using you more. What's your background?
Yeah. So I come from this community, right? When we talk about District 5, I was raised in District 5. My education, I went to Hillsborough County Public Schools. I went to Robles Elementary, one of those schools that historically has not done well. But when I attended back in the late 70s, it was actually a great school. Really integrated, but neighborhoods shift and neighborhoods change, gentrification, things happen, people move out, people move in. So I graduated from King High School. So I'm of this community. When I came back to do my graduate work at USF, I wanted to make a difference. So I have an earned PhD. I didn't buy it. I earned it in school psychology from University of South Florida. And my push and my goal, my heart was in how do I help the community that I grew up in be successful? It shouldn't be happenstance. What happened to me shouldn't be, and I'm gonna give me 1 minute. I just want to explain what happened to me. I grew up in all of these schools, Sly Elementary, right? Schools that, Sly was a middle school then, sorry. And it was like 6th grade center. And then I had to pick where I was going for 7th, 8th, right? We didn't have a choice because of the desegregation order of 1958 in Hillsborough County, right, which was still in effect then. It is since the judges have taken all of the weight out of it now. But at that point, there had to be equal representation in all schools. And so my neighborhood was picked to go out to Burns Middle School in Bloomingdale. So we had a 45-minute ride to school.
Yes.
Every day. no longer community schools, right? And so going to that school actually was the key lever that changed my life, because I was really good in English language arts, really good with reading, as well as math. One of my teachers said, because when they put us in these schools, sometimes, I'm just going to say the truth, when they put us in these schools, they put us in these schools as a little group, and they want us to stay together. The school may have all this amazing stuff. You hear about schools having IB and schools having all this amazing things, but the kids can't always access all of those great resources that are within that school. So we were kept as a little group to travel together as a cohort. Well, because I was doing so well, they were like, these classes aren't rigorous enough for her. And my math teacher advocated and said she needs to go to a higher level math. Because he changed that one class, the rest of my classes had to shift. And so now I became one of 2 or 3 African-American students actually integrated into the school.
Right.
That shifted my life, because now I'm in more rigorous courses that set me up to be better in high school.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be happenstance that one teacher made one decision that actually changed the course of my life and other students' lives.
Right.
Every child, every single child, no matter where their zip code is, deserves a high quality education.
Sure.
And I want to lean in. I can talk forever about this, y'all, because it's
and I'm gonna let you lean in on this point, and then I'm gonna move on. Go ahead.
Okay. So to go to what you said earlier, I just want to name that what needs to happen next, because we could look at this and think very negatively about the fact of what's happening with the Title I dollars and what's happening, or we could use this as an amazing opportunity for our parents to get informed, as long as we can get the word out, and we take advantage of all the options just like everybody else.
Yes.
That's why they're doing now. There may be some nefarious actions, behind this, but the reality is they can't keep us from taking advantage of all of the resources that are now being made available. So now that we have these kind of like education accounts that travel with the child wherever the child goes, our parents need to be on the front line taking advantage of those opportunities.
That's interesting. So Dr. Edwards, can you give us a little history lesson? For years, we've seen schools in District 5 and other parts of Tampa consistently graded at the bottom. What's been driving these low marks? And it's consistent.
Yeah, it is. It's consistent. It has been years. And I think there are many things. There are many contributing factors to why that happens. But I do think there are some things that we can ask. There are questions that we need to ask around why this continues to happen. So the first question is, how are we resourcing these schools, right? And are they resourced at a level that helps the teachers be able to, right, teach to our students? How are the leaders trained? Do we have leaders who are experts? Do we have teachers who are highly qualified? And I don't mean highly qualified based off of the state stuff that they do around certification and stuff, because you can be uncertified and amazing in the classroom. So I'm not going down that pathway. But what I am saying is, do they have the skill set that is needed to provide our children with a high quality education? That's what we're looking for.
So Jeanette, I have one question.
We want the best teachers. We want the best leaders, because our kids deserve the best.
So Cametra, I have one question for you. And I think when you and I used to talk about this, my concern was not so much with the school grade, but I do know that they grade the level of the children reading, which I was the most important level. And how is it in a Title I school who get extra money because you're a Title I school, and most Title I schools that I know have all of these reading coaches, but none of these kids, and I think what really made me aware is when this article came out in the paper about Potter, that they had, I think, 130 kids in the 3rd grade, but only, and I can't remember, but I want to say only 30 kids was reading on level. And I call that BS. I said, that can't be. How can that be? And so how is it possible that a parent could send their kid to someone like Potter? Because most of those kids will go there from kindergarten. Some of them do the early, I forget what it's called, pre-K,
Okay. Yeah.
all the way to third grade, and they're not reading on level. I don't understand, how are we allowing this to happen? And they just keep getting pushed and pushed. And then when they get in high school, they saying that these kids are reading on a third. Why?
So, and it is true. So you can believe it, that kids in schools like Potter and in District 5, there's this group of elementary schools that are consistently around 23-30% at or above reading level. Everybody else, not so much. Those are high levels for a concentrated area, in my opinion.
Do you think this?
Well, hold
because
on.
how?
Hold on. Here's the real tea, as the kids would say. If we look at the grades that came out last year, right?
Mhm.
Just the ones that were just released a couple of months ago, and
Yes.
we look at Black student achievement in reading, 60%, right? It's 58 point something. I'm gonna round that up. 60% of African American students in the entire county. So we're not even just talking about the concentrated area. 60% overall are not reading on grade level.
I believe
That's our reality. So
Yeah,
we
that's
can say like, oh, it's this area. It's everywhere.
across the board. Yeah.
Across the board,
All
right?
right. So
It's
I
a
like
systemic problem for the county.
Okay. So explain systemic problem for the county. Why is that? Why are you saying systemic?
Because it's a system. And when the system is designed to not work for certain groups of kids, then the system needs to be changed and challenged. So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying this is not just about, and again, I don't want people to take it personal, because people like to take stuff like this personal and say, oh, you say I'm not doing a good job. Oh, she don't know what she's talking about. The data is there. It's public. Go to the Know Your Schools website. State of Florida puts it out. Know Your Schools. Parents all should know that. They should have it locked in their phone so that you could go and click. They put it in nice graphs for you so you can see and understand exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But no, the numbers are what they are. And Hillsborough County is one of the worst performing districts in the state for African American students, compared to Miami-Dade, Broward, Orange, Polk, Pinellas. You can go all over the state. African American students do better in all those other districts in reading than they do here. So that's why I say it's a system problem. It's how we're training teachers to teach reading here, how we have teachers working with students here, how our teachers are supported here, how our leaders are leading here. All of this matters. And there is no deep emphasis and commitment to change what we're doing. Hillsborough County hates change. Now, I'm not saying our last superintendent was great, because he had a whole host of problems, but we don't want anybody outside this system to tell us to do anything different. We like to keep the same leaders who grew up here and are going to keep the system as it
The
is.
status quo.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I looked at those grades that came out and saw improvements here and there. But when I looked, let's say I just did a research paper and looked at the last 10 years of data for about 10 schools, actually 8 schools, 4 in affluent areas and 4 in East Tampa. And the pattern was staggering in terms of straight A's for 10 years for certain schools, actually 20 years in some cases. But in East Tampa, they were just sort of toggling between D, F, and an occasional C, I like to say. And that C typically is not sustainable. Now, the question that I have to ask of you, and I hear what you're saying about the responsibility of the school district, but what about the community? What part of the equation does the community fit in? And what role do you see for residents and parents and churches and organization in changing the trajectory of these schools? As you know, I'm in the schools all the time. It's what I do. I've been doing that now since 2017 in elementary schools. I think consistency is important. That's why I do it. And the team of people around me, but I make sure those kids see me from one year to the next, from grade 1 all the way to grade 5. So they see community coming in. Tell me what you think the East Tampa community can do, if anything, as I look at the other communities and the kind of engagement that they have comparatively is light years away. And that systemic thing still rings true, even in your ability to engage. But go ahead.
So I hear you, Jeanette. I do. Let me answer that. So there are some things we can do. Can the community engage differently? Absolutely. One of the pieces of research that is available is around VPK. And so what they found is that students who attend and complete VPK have a 70% chance of getting a level 3 or higher on the FSA. So that's something to think about, right? Like if we get our 4-year-olds into a VPK program, they are more than likely going to get the bump that they need, the foundation that they need, so that they are ready by the time 3rd grade comes to pass that test. So that's a clear thing that parents, community, we can all do, right? But I'm also going to say, I don't think our community is any different in the community than Miami-Dade. I don't think our community is any different than Palm Beach County or Pinellas County right across the bridge, right? I think that community looks like it looks. The community around Maximo and all that community still look like it's been looking. So I always want to just hold space for communities, because I think the shift and the change has to happen at the district. That's where the problem is. So I don't want to say the problem is with the community and that the community needs to step up and the community needs to be different, because the communities are the same in other areas across the state and they're not seeing the results that we're seeing. So
I can remember us having that conversation, because I can remember when it first came out and I was asking for that data, Jeanette, and all they'll do is make excuses and say stuff like this. Well, the children missed too many days. I say, so I don't care. Out of 180 days, I'm sure these kids are in school. Let's say 100 days. You trying to tell me you can't get a kindergarten ready for 1st grade? We've asked for this data. And I remember it was at James. And I said, I just wanted you to show me the data from a kid who came to pre-K to 3rd grade. Show me their stuff. They were never show it.
yeah. So I hear the argument, and I think the community can step up. We can have more community volunteers. We can be in our schools supporting our kids. We can read with our kids at home, and we can have amazing, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine about starting like an Algebra 1 club, right? So that all kids take Algebra 1 in the 8th grade, and what would need to happen in elementary and early middle to get those kids ready to take Algebra 1 in the 8th grade, which sets them up for higher level math in high school. So we have a plethora. We have so many support nonprofits out there, and kudos and high fives to all of them and all the work that all the nonprofits are doing to support the students in our school. But until the district takes responsibility for their failures, I don't know how we overcome that, because that's where the failure is. I'm just going to be free and say that it's there. They are the people who are failing our kids.
Yeah.
I hear you. You might have to have a conversation with the district. They might need to hire your company to see how we're going to have to get behind this, because you're going to have to take it serious. That our children education is important, and we're no longer going to allow this to happen from year to year to year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say it's a combination of the two. And I'm not necessarily focusing on volunteerism, but I'm looking at the quality of the neighborhoods where they are and the ability to keep well performing students who perform well in District 5, because what I see happening is that they tend to, within a year, go off to other schools. They don't stay necessarily in the Edisons and the Sulphur Springs and what have you. If they're performing well, they're only there for a short time and then they're out. So I'm thinking
why do you think that is? Like, why do you think they leave?
I think that the parents are always looking for better for their children, and they don't seem to believe that they're getting what they need in those schools. And I'm always saying, stop bankrupting the schools. That's why we can't seem to. But I've had kids in our programs that may have stayed the entire year because of the program, but by the next year they're gone somewhere else. And these are our students that are performing well. So I think that the infrastructure surrounding the school, the neighborhood, is somewhere that the community could better invest in. I don't necessarily believe we all have to be tutors, and we all now need to look at our neighborhoods and see how we can invest. And it's one of the reasons that I talked to the Tampa City Council members to say, those DF schools, they seem to be a reflection of the communities where these kids are coming out of. Whose responsibility is that? It's not Shake Washington's. It's us as a community to hold them accountable. So when you're going to build a recreation center on Martin Luther King, tell me what programs are in that's going to take our young people off the streets and into some tech job, into jobs that will be relevant in the future. And I don't know if those kind of conversations or demands are happening when we are fighting for resources. How do we tie that into, my little kid loves to do coding? Is there a place within the neighborhood that allows them to do that? How do we get them jazzed about things other than football and basketball? And they don't say track, although that's my thing. They never say that. But
I love track too, so I get
yeah.
it.
So we have about 3 or 4 more minutes. Give me some last thoughts in terms of any recommendations you might have to improve the grades of underperforming schools. And if you need to reiterate some that you've already said, I want to leave us with, here is exactly what needs to happen.
That's a great question. So I think that parents need to be aware of who the people are that are standing in front of your children. Number one, if you've not met the teachers, go and meet the teacher, figure it out. Send an email, do a Zoom call, whatever you need to do to be able to meet those teachers and start to build relationships. So I think if families can build relationships and we can break down some of the barriers, many of these parents have attended these same schools. And so they may have some, residual resentment and understanding how they were educated. And so I do think like we've got to work both ways. Like teachers need to work hard and not that teachers aren't working hard, because they are, but the district, all of those people need to work hard, and the parents, families, and community can work hard to start building relationships and having these types of conversations.
So, Cametra, let me ask you this, and this might be the final one.
Sure.
Question. How do we build? Because I believe from the schools that my daughter went to, PTA is strong. The PTA ran those schools. How is it that we can't get, I've tried to start a PTA at Potter, James. How is it we can't get that support? And it's not from the parents, it's more from inside of the school, a little pushback from the school.
I think it's a good question, but also you have to know your families, right? And know what's happening as they're competing. I think Jeannette mentioned earlier, sports is a major competitor. And so
but I'm talking about
that's
elementary, because where we're dropping the ball is in elementary. Because when these kids ain't prepared in elementary, they fail going up. We setting them up. They fail going up. So we can't get it right from pre-K to 3rd grade. It is, I'm not going to say almost over, but it is doomed. It's hard to catch up from there.
But sports,
hear what I'm saying,
as I said,
sports may be a way to an access point, and us making those connections with those coaches and with those different organizations can be a great access point. And so maybe that's our next discussion, is how do we get in front of those people, because they definitely have the parents and the students' attention.
I love that. And you're right about sports. And if you, on a Saturday afternoon or even some Sundays toward the end of their season, you go out to these peewee football and intermediate football games, our kids and their parents are there all day long. All
Well,
day.
the kids, I'm not going to say, because people say we'll give 100% to sports, but they need some hope, some excitement, something that they're achieving, because they're not achieving in school. It makes them feel good. They work at it. We just got to help them to do both.
Yeah, but we'll work on that. But there's a combination of two. I think Deion Sanders, and when he works with those football players, he's bringing both into play so that they're graduating at high numbers. So Dr. Edwards, thank you for helping us unpack the history and the reality behind the school grades. What you've shared makes it clear that there aren't just education issues. There are some community issues, and I think we need to figure out how to balance the two. The challenge of lifting school performance is one we all share, and it will take both accountability and collaboration to change the story in District 3. All right.
Thank you for having
We're gonna
me.
have to bring her back, Jeanette, with our next guest. This is a good conversation. We're gonna have it continually, at least once a month.
All right, so we'll do that at some other point where we are talking a little bit more. Again, with what's coming down the pipeline, we have to re-strategize in our communities and take more ownership, in my opinion, because I know you're saying school, but I'm also saying community. There's something that has to happen that's different. We all need to, as we like to say at Black Independent, we have to move differently. So thanks again so much.
Thank you. Y'all have
You too.
Good night.
Okay, you're going to bring on our last guest. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. You want to introduce her?
Yes. So welcome back to Black Independent Conversations. For this next segment, we're talking about something that has been hitting a lot of people right in the pocket. School zone cameras. I didn't even know they were there, and I've been driving by these cameras thinking I'm okay.
Yeah.
But since January, Hillsborough County has been ticketing drivers who go even a little too fast in the school zones, and the frustration is real. Some folks say they never saw the flashing lights. Others feel like they are being penalized for something they didn't really know about. So today we have Karen Perez here, who is the vice chair for the school board.
Yes. Hi, ladies.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
I feel like I'm on with two superstars. You guys are awesome.
Thank
We
you.
are
Thank
trying,
you for
but
agreeing.
yeah, you are the superstar, and we appreciate your taking the time out on a Sunday to come out and talk about this issue with us. I pass by these cameras all the time, and I look at them, and that's weird because I look at them flashing how fast I'm going, but I never knew that they are also about to take my tag if I'm going too fast. I tend to slow down, but it's a bigger issue than I think most people know.
Yes. Yeah. A couple of years ago, back in 22, I actually, there was a big conversation about these. So I sat at a school zone right below the sign that says this is how fast you're going.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you, and it's when flashing, go 15 miles an hour. And
Yes.
I actually sat under one of those signs with a police officer, and I was taking pictures of people just at 45, 65 miles an hour, and it was flashing that the students were trying to cross.
Wow.
And you were only supposed to go 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Wait. Now you saying that at flashing it, they were supposed to go 15 and they were going 45?
45, 65, and then the very next board meeting, I commented on it.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It is. So let me talk about. I don't know if you guys remember back in 2004 when 4 kids were hit on 22nd and 100. I think it was 180 something, 142nd Street.
Yes, I remember that.
And 2 of the siblings were killed. One sibling was hospitalized. The other one was checked out and at the hospital and sent home. But they were crossing, at the space where they were able to cross across the park, and they were hit. So I'm going to give you a statistic so you'll understand why the priority of Hillsborough County schools and also Hillsborough County period is the safety of all students. 1 in 5 children under the age of 15 killed in crashes in Tampa were pedestrians. So, our children are high liability when it comes to crossing the streets.
Yes.
And getting off buses. I think last year a couple of kids were hit getting off their bus.
Yeah.
So
well, listen, we're definitely gonna have that. We know, but is it an epidemic? Is it out of control? And is these cameras? I see anything like that as a money grab. Reminds me of the red lights because as soon as this came out, we start hearing issues, and I'll play some videos where these cameras aren't working correctly. I do know down in Palm County, they started their cameras in March and they have stopped it because it was overdoing something. Now, safety, yes, we want safety, and I think they're here. So really what we want to tell the community that this thing is in place.
Right.
We got to be careful and don't waste our money. And also while we're looking out for the pedestrians of our children. Let me ask you this. The money that is generating, because so far you guys have gotten, I believe, a little over $3 million, correct?
5 million.
5 million. That's crazy, Karen.
And that's
so what
statewide,
I
right?
want to know is, what are y'all doing? If this isn't a money grab, what are you doing? I say wherever you get these tickets, you should invest it back into those schools, that area. So what are you doing with the revenue?
Well,
Okay.
is that
Before
5
you let Jeanette ask you a question.
is that 5 million statewide?
No. So
No,
5
that's
million.
Hillsborough.
Yeah, that's Hillsborough County.
That's Hillsborough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
That's why I say money grab.
Yeah. So, well, actually, it's not as for us. We don't consider it a money grab because we're investing into the bus drivers that we need. We're investing into the repairs of the buses.
So you're making us pay for stuff that you guys already have the budget or should have the budget because you're spending this money somewhere else, and this is extra money to pay
to hire new bus drivers, to be able to get more bus drivers. There's the bus driver shortage. And remember, Tallahassee is cutting our budgets as well. So this helps to also allow us to hire more bus drivers to ensure the safety of our students, to make sure they don't get hit, but also we transport 78,000 students a day here in Hillsborough County. So making sure that they're not sitting, there's some buses that, because of the shortage of buses, first of all, the shortage of buses, the shortage of bus drivers, that there's a lot of buses that there's a lot of kids on, a lot of students. So to be able to provide into those areas two buses instead of having one crowded bus, which is a safety hazard for their students. That's where that money is going back into.
So, Karen, did you catch the bus when you was going to school? Like I remember.
I did. I went to King High School.
Okay, so I remember middle school. I didn't go to public elementary school, but I remember that first year going to Horace Mann. I hated it because we had 3 in a seat.
Yes.
And some people standing up. And I can remember coming home every day crying to my mom and my brother and saying, oh God, the people smell, it was musky, the football players, and particularly in the evening and all of that. I'm just saying, I don't really believe 100% that this zoning thing is 100% to protect the children. I
Well,
don't.
well, the first 30 days, we sent out warnings.
Yes.
Chad Chronister sent out warnings. The district sent out warnings, and people didn't say anything. When those warnings were going out, it's when they started getting the tickets, the real tickets.
Yes.
Then everybody had some complaints. So
I
because
remember I was in a meeting, and one of the board members said how much they had raised in 6 months. And I was like, oh my God, this can't be in 6 months. You've raised this kind of money. Yeah, it's giving me the red light camera thing here.
Mhm, mhm. So so the folks bringing their tickets, and it's like, and I'm gonna go with what you're saying, Mona, for a moment. I got a red light ticket, and I took it to court, and it was because there was an ambulance behind me, and either I move or get a ticket, or stand there and get a ticket, or move and I got a ticket. So so I took it to court. But these are things that you could either
Well,
take
we know that
or
your
talk about it.
speeding. We know that your speeding cameras, you cannot contest them. We
Okay.
haven't found anyone who was able to contest them, even though you could
So
obviously
you
see
can't.
that the lights start flashing.
You can
Pardon me?
contest. You can contest, but the chances of you being successful are nil.
Yes.
Zero. Yes, zero.
Right.
It's unlike the red lights.
Unless you have an ambulance behind you and you can prove
That's
that.
a good one. Yes.
So I'm just saying that you can contest, but it seems like the data shows that very few who have contested are able to prevail.
Right.
I
And-
haven't found one who was able to prevail. Not one.
And how much are those tickets, by the way?
$225.
No.
Yeah, and the
A
the
lot of money.
district. Yeah, and a lot of parents are saying we didn't know, but the district and Chad Chronister sent out information on it. How far you should stay back from the bus. It showed diagrams. All they didn't do was take the parents by the hand and take them out to the bus and show them physically. That's all they didn't do. But there was diagrams, there was instructions, there was everything.
So how do I get a ticket if I'm too close to the bus? I didn't realize that was an issue.
Yeah, you have to stay like a car's length away from the bus.
Yeah, is there a camera that's taking that
All
out?
the buses,
Yeah.
the arm,
Okay.
all the bus arms now have cameras, and
Correct.
basically that's what I'm bringing you on, because these things are here, it's set, and
Yeah.
I want to inform the community
Right.
that is here, and
And you should-
particularly our young people who are driving, who's now in high school. For their parents could really warn the children, listen, I'm saying to young people now, when you're going into a school zone, whether the lights are flashing or not, it is just best to go that speed limit.
And I'm gonna tell you what I have been surprised with, Mona and Jeanette, is that people don't know when to stop. A lot of people have called me and said, do I stop if there's not a median, if the bus is on the other side of the road?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, if there's no median, you have to stop.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, I haven't been stopping. So this is not an issue of the district. It's an issue of re-educating yourself on your drive, what you learned in driver school.
Right.
Get out your manual and find out when do you stop for a bus, a school bus, because that's in your test. That's in your driving test.
Yeah, for a school bus, not every bus, but a school
Correct.
bus. Because sometimes I see people slowing up for the USF bus, and it's like, come on, you guys, it's USF.
Yeah.
But particularly when those arms are out,
Mhm.
and now if you have a medium, you don't have to stop. But if that
Aggressive.
medium, yes, if that
Aggressive.
medium isn't there, or if they're in a crosswalk, because I know on 40th, it's still a medium there, but it's the crosswalk.
Right.
The lights crossing you, if they're blinking,
Mhm.
you could proceed with caution if nobody is there.
Right.
Yeah,
Now
I
they've
mean,
asked.
we just have to be mindful because I know how a $250 ticket could affect the parent
Yes.
who's already living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, I understand. I get that. But a life of one of our students, and I'm going to say this to you too, it didn't really resound too much because it was Danny Burgess who brought this to legislation. But it didn't start really affecting or saying too much until it started really hitting the pockets of our counterparts. Because a lot of our parents don't drive. A lot of our parents walk their students to school and to the bus. So if I could say that and be very blunt,
Sure.
about it, a lot of our babies are the ones getting hit. A lot of our babies, on Fowler, on Fletcher, they're getting hit by cars.
Yeah, they
And
are.
until when it started affecting our counterparts' pockets, then we heard a lot of noise.
Okay.
But these are our babies.
So because it's legislation, do counties have the option? Because I think Mona said somebody opted out.
Palm County, Palm City. Yes.
So is there that option or?
Sure.
I'm not sure.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure. I would have to find out.
Actually, I think I put out something. I can't pull it up right now. Where just in Florida, 3 counties have decided not to continue the speeding cameras in their community. And the one county that I looked up because I wanted to know the income base. And you're right, Karen, because the income base in that county was the average income base was $67,000. And these people are probably saying, no way am I going to give you $250 over me speeding, me doing something wrong. But when it's us, they say follow the rule.
There you go.
Now,
Interesting.
but they push back and they have discontinued it. They just started it in March 2025, and this school year it has stopped. So I found 3 counties who did that.
Yeah,
And
I look at what the population demographics is of those counties,
but
and it would speak to a lot.
Well, you have to look at I looked at the homes, the money that district is taking in. They're probably so we're using this as extra income. Now we are too using it for safety for our children, so they say. But it's to generate money.
yeah, but I hear you, Mona, on it's to generate money. And yes, $5 million, yes, it does. But to Karen's point, we need to balance that out with safety. And we as a community, if we were going to talk about this, that's really the question. And I imagine Palm Beach and wherever Palm County did the same thing and they opted out of it. But do our communities really want to, especially with the tragic deaths that Karen mentioned earlier on Fletcher and 22nd?
That's just one. That's just one. We've had several. And
Right.
this year alone, we've had several close calls. Several close calls. Not one or two, several. So
I think if I had the option, I'll opt out and I want to do education because I know that the people that are driving in our community, we love our children. And nobody I know would want to. I hit a cat once and I don't know, but when that cat went under the my car and I could hear that, I could feel it every time I think about it. Nobody wants to live with that. Nobody.
But the problem is when you look at who, I'm not trying to judge, God knows, but who hits our children and gets away with it, it's not.
Sure.
It's not
us. Oh yes, I know.
Just saying. But also, when someone hits our kids and there is a lawsuit against that bus because they think that they didn't behave correctly in protecting our students when this vehicle went by, and whichever vehicle, if they have an attorney that's prominent, is able to do whatever, that family still needs to be taken care of. So that's how I see it. Because I'm with these families on a constant basis. And I love the conversation you had earlier, just with the guest speaker before me. And there is some conversations that we need to have. I'm gonna give you some stats. From August of last year to June of this year, there was 70,000 tickets mailed to drivers. But
what?
But what needs to happen is that what I'm talking about and speaking to is that also drivers need a re-education. They wouldn't be passing buses, and that's not our place to educate drivers. It's when they go to renew their driver's license, when they go to renew their tags, because when somebody's calling me, a board member, to ask me about a median, I'm not the driver's, I'm not, your Florida driver's license place.
Well, we probably do need to look into that, Karen, because listen, I can't tell you the last time I had to take a written test or update. All I do is mail in. All they want is a check. I mean, I really need my eyes checked, and I probably should be driving with glasses, but I don't.
I'm not taking no test. That's all I got.
I didn't hear that, Mona. I didn't hear that.
Right, yes.
But
what I'm saying is this system is just all it is all about how much money we're gonna break. Because
put a sign on the sign after it's flashing to me 15-15, or I'm going 37 and it's saying 15-15 or whatever, and it's telling me to slow down. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a sign that says fine, blah blah blah. The fine, needs to say not red light, but it needs to say a camera and that what the fine penalty is. I will see that and likely slow down much more so than just it telling me to. That's where the education is. Read, because everybody looks at it to see, oh yeah, I'm going like whatever, except for that 45 miles an hour.
Or it's telling you too late. I'm already there. It might need to be almost maybe a quarter of a mile before I even get to the school zone.
It is. Some school zones are. It says, school zone, 15 miles an hour. A few feet over down, it says school zone 15 miles an hour.
And needs to add the penalty. Add the penalty to that message.
But the signage also is costly. To put up those signs, we have.
Right. Well, you just got $5 million. You're gonna have to invest right into those signs, okay?
But you're suggesting that they stop and just put up some signs, and that should do it. So they better do it fast before they stop, because
But I was just to enlighten the two of you, it was shocking to me. It was just shocking that they saw that sign 15 miles an hour. It's that digital, those digital signs that tell you how fast you're going. Mm-hmm. And they were not stopping. Those folks, and I'm going to tell you, it was not in neighborhoods with families that look like us. Yeah. I'm going to let you know. So I was just totally in shock. And when I, at that board meeting, I said it out loud. Because
so if the sign is not flashing, mm-hmm. and I go through, is the camera working, or is it only working when the sign through certain hours?
They're saying that people are getting tickets, is why
that's important to know.
And Palm Bay, they stop, because even if the lights aren't flashing, people are getting tickets, and they're even getting tickets outside of the school hours. So people were getting tickets at 7:00 at night.
Is that so?
Well, then I don't know. In Palm Beach, I have no idea what was going on.
Well, what about here?
But they needed to check that. We haven't had anybody come to the district to say that they received the ticket at 7:00 at night or anything like that.
Right, because it seems to me if the signs are timed with school
right.
start time and end time, the camera would also be a part of that system and would only work when that light is actually actively gauging how fast you're going.
Correct.
Which
Well,
makes
that's the way it's supposed.
Right.
Jeanette, we know that's the way it's supposed to work. But to generate that much money, it
Mhm.
has to be a little off. Even like when we were doing the red light cameras, your turning supposed to be 3 minutes, but they cut it back to a minute and a half. And that way, people are going to run that light.
Right.
And that's to help generate the money. So we're going to do a little research, but the whole deal today was just to inform the community
Correct.
and let them know,
So
because
repeat
these
exactly what you want the community to know
Correct.
and your recommendations of what you think should happen, which I'm not necessarily agreeing, but your segments ago.
Yeah.
Yes. So I want to inform the community, and particularly our young drivers, our high school drivers,
Mhm.
because we definitely don't want them getting tickets, but we definitely don't want them hitting our children. We don't want any accidents.
$225, you guys.
$225. If a parent was to get that ticket and they didn't pay it at, I don't know if it was 30 days, they gave them 30 days to pay it, Karen, is that correct?
I think so. I mean, they
Yes.
could go and talk to the judge about it. Let them know, hey, I believe this is wrong, and they'll pull it up. They'll pull up the camera.
Oh, sure, they pull it up, but we already know. We know. I know this. They'll pull it up. They're never going to be wrong. They're going to say, yes, you're going to have to do it. But if you do not pay it, what happens? $100 late fee comes on.
Right, but
This-
a lot of people will say, I ain't got no time for this because it
They'll
doesn't
just pay it.
feel-
But those are people who
they
have
don't even
money.
just pay it, they just ignore it. There are lots of people that will just
Well,
say,
you can't ignore it,
I
because
got
now
it.
you're going to mess up.
That's-
They're going to
that's
suspend
me
your
is
license.
A lot of those
They're going to
fines.
suspend your license, then your insurance. It's a trickle effect,
Yeah.
particularly for poor people, and they get rich off the poor.
That's the 5 million. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
To you.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
5
I
million.
can get a breakdown and let you know. I could do a follow up with you. And let
Okay.
you know.
We
And
that would-
definitely would appreciate it. So
that would be-
basically what I want to say, it is here. It is here. Let's deal with it smartly. Because I can remember when I used to get the red light tickets, and my mother called me an idiot one time, because I would only get them in the same two places. Yeah, she called me an idiot. And I was only get them in the same. She said, go a different way. She said, go drive a different
There
way.
you go.
And listen,
Simple.
I drove
Simple
a different way, and I did. You could pull it up and see the last time I got a red light ticket,
Yeah.
because I would be, I would be complaining every time I got them, and I would go to court,
Mhm.
and I've had to pay them all but one. But one.
Yeah. I paid my share, so I
Yeah,
get it.
and I said, I'm not giving the city, I pay enough taxes, I'm not giving them any more of my money. But what we do know, that certain people could give these tickets maybe to you. You could get it taken care of. Somebody in the city said, oh, you could give it, don't talk about it, you could give it to me. And no, it's not that I didn't have the money to pay it. I am worried about the people who do not have the money.
And
And I
that is
see
so.
what happened with this trickle effect, losing their driver's license.
Yeah.
I see somebody get a ticket for $158 that went to $607 to order to get their driver's license back. Now that's ridiculous.
Yeah. No,
Going
that
through-
I
going through
agree with you.
15 going through a 15-mile-an-hour school zone at 45. I really don't have too much sympathy for you.
Well, I don't either, because I
So
see that. I believe
the
Karen,
natural
'cause I don't.
consequence of that is
Yes.
you now have a $225 ticket, and the next time, and this is true for me in the red light cameras, the next time I listen to my car that says red light camera ahead,
Right.
I'm slowing down. Sometimes I put my mother through the windshield, says, okay,
Right.
I'm not going through, because I know they give you a little grace, but I'm always on the outside of that grace. So I'm saying I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I think the safety issue is important.
Yeah.
I do have an issue with the opt-outs option that Mona speaks about. I think it should just be across the board. And the consequences are you slow down when you're driving by Franklin, because that's a street, and you're driving by Edison, and you're driving by Sulphur Springs, because I'm driving by those red light cameras all the time. I know where they are.
And if folks, and if folks have questions, go back to the driver's manual and see what the rules are, for driving in a school zone, for stopping, for a bus, for a school bus. When do you stop? When don't you stop? And things like that.
Yeah, I would want to ask, and Mona, you can certainly close this out, but I would want to ask the viewers, what do you think? Do you think that the issue of safety sort of trumps, for lack of a better word, the $225 ticket I get if I'm speeding through the school zone? I don't know. And she did say, and here's what the money is used for. And increased school bus drivers and improved. Are we getting do we have electric buses?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's going to be in the city for our children catching the bus in the inner cities. Yes.
Yes. So I would just say to the viewers, give us your feedback, because we would really like to communicate that to Karen, our guest.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Oh, I love being with you guys. You guys are so amazing.
Well, thank you, Karen. We're certainly going to have you back on, because when we had Dr. Cametra, and I said, oh, she's school board. We got all things school board. So we'll have to do that, keeping the community informed about this school year. We want a very successful school year for our children, particularly District 5, District 3. And we certainly want it to be safe. My only concern would be, if we're going to generate this money, I don't want it to be used for what you guys say. I would say that money should be able to go back to wherever that community is, to that school. Now, can you get me where these school lights are at? Because that's another thing I look into.
I could get you a map of them.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Because I don't want them all be in the inner city.
Yeah, real quick, and I know you guys are going to click me off, but really quick.
No, you're good. You're good. You're the last guest. We're
okay. So, for a couple of years now, I've had community folks call me and say, "Member Perez, we have a group of students out here who've been waiting since 8 o'clock for a bus. It's 10 o'clock now. Somebody's going to get hit by a car because they're waiting for a school bus."
Yeah.
So these are the issues that this money is remedying. These are the situations that put our students in harm's way, that this money is trying to work towards making sure that our students get picked up, have a bus driver to pick them up and get them to school on time, and they're not out there, doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
Do you think we're managing the budget you have as well as one can?
Well, the issue with the budget is that there's money allocated, and unfortunately this year there's been some money that has not, I guess the governor has decided we don't need it, so do you lot remember when the lottery came out and they said, this money is for for the schools, and this is going to be amazing. Okay. Right. And then what happened was that the money that the lottery was generating, they took it out of our budgets. So it was a wash for us. It really didn't kind of pat our budget.
Right.
But what it did was it ended up being the same, because if we made $1, if the lottery made $1 for us, we lost $1. Right. And that was I think that's where we're looking at right now with this. So, the fact that this money is helping the bus drivers, a lot of people ask why we're short bus drivers, why our buses are falling apart. And I'm going to say this, A lot of our buses that are falling apart are in the neighborhoods where Shake is the board member.
Sure.
And unfortunately, so for me, that's why I say, it's neighborhoods that look like you and I,
Yeah.
because the other neighborhoods, they're going to raise holy cane if, they got one of them.
And that's a problem moving forward. We do know that, because I believe there is always enough money to make it happen. We just have to have fighters to make sure we're getting what we're supposed to get. Yeah.
Well, who are the fighters? You mean us in the community or our
I
representatives?
mean, us in the community and whoever represent us, not only Shake Washington,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but the at-large people all around.
Very good point.
We have to hold them accountable.
Yeah.
We cannot keep giving people a pass because they come
There you
into
go.
our neighborhood, come to our churches, smile at our supervisors.
I didn't mean to send you down that path, but there you go. There you go.
But I fight. I do. I fight.
And that's what I love about you, because
I have seen
we
you
can always call on you. You don't really represent us.
I do. I'm at large.
Right. Well, yes.
I have seen
right.
you ask some very great questions that need to be asked, especially when we're talking about school improvement, and we realize that there is a large cadre of students who are not improving, and you're challenging the data is most appreciated.
And, I want to get into that conversation about those schools, because some of those schools, if I were to go to a school like that, and I've said this publicly and on the dais, if I go to a school that tells me you don't care about me, I'm not going to care about me either.
Right.
So,
right.
There's a lot of places that we need to start. A lot of places to live.
And we just have to now be smart and get the people who really care and who fight the support.
There you go.
Get these other board members. We just can't get people there just to sit there.
Right.
So last question, how can we support you better, given that we're asking you to fight for us and in that at-large seat? How do you see us in District 5, District 5, supporting you and Shake Washington better? And then that will be it, because we're going off on tangents.
I know. You have to come down to the board meeting. Show us your needs for the community. A lot of times, like when schools were being closed, folks showed up, but then they stopped showing up.
That's what we do. We show up in the crises, and then when the crisis seems to subside, we then don't. Even though I think the solution is not necessarily one that works for us in the long run, given the gentrification of that area, where Justin and Stewart are.
Yeah. Well, because it's going to continue to. We're always in a movement. When they see something good's there, they're going to move us somewhere else, and because it's always our lives are always ebb and flow for them. It's never a standard of this is where we are, this is where we're going to stay, this is our community. So that's a problem.
We're spendable, yes.
Yeah.
But how do we support you? By going to the board meetings and speaking up?
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Just showing up. And sometimes I have a problem with that. Even with teachers, they say, you guys got to be more engaged. Okay, everybody have a job. We hired you to do the work, to fight, and you should know what the issues is. Even if we said, I don't see, because you guys aren't coming to city council to fight, or county commission to fight. But everybody makes it a big deal. All politicians, we need your help. Teachers, we need your help.
Yeah, and I hear what we are saying, but when I do the research on other districts, and that's what I'm going to call it now.
Yeah, they do.
They show up when there is an issue, and they show up in big numbers. And for whatever reason, and I'm not claiming anything other than they seem to prevail more often than we do.
Well,
And
that
it's,
squeaky tire thing. The squeaky tire gets
Yes.
oil. But
Yes.
also call me. I'm always, you call me, I'm going to answer that phone
Yes.
because
Yes.
I love to harass as much as people harass me. So
yes, you
Yes.
do. And
Yes.
again, we do appreciate you. So what else do you have, Mona?
I
You
think
good?
that's it. I just want to thank her for always being available whenever we reach out to her. She's
Yay.
just always eager to help and be engaged. And Karen, we certainly want to continue
yes,
this conversation to help to help our kids.
yeah,
Help our kids.
absolutely.
So, we are new at this. We've decided.
We're fifth one, right? This is your fifth show.
Yeah,
This
this
is
is our
our
fifth
fifth show.
show.
Congratulations.
And, so yeah, we are dipping our toe into the water, and ours is to bring forth issues because we're both independents. I've just gravitated toward independent. I think we have to move differently. This is one of our taglines, that we move differently, and it's really what is best for the community, especially in the times that we are in.
Yes,
And hopefully we do have your ear,
yes.
because we're going to bend it.
Good.
You.
And you guys could always call me if you hear something in the community. You have my personal number, so you could either text me, call me, and say, "Hey, Karen, can you find out about this? Can you help us with this?" Parents call me all the time. The other night I got a call just before we came on, so I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, and hand out my number like you're handing out chocolate on Halloween. We're good.
All right.
All right. Thank you again.
All right. Love you guys.
Good night, Karen.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
So, Jeanette, I think the podcast today was very informative. We're doing
Too.
good.
I like this.
Yes.
I like this, where we're identifying issues and we are deciding, hey, we need to make sure that the community is informed. And for communities, for members of the community who have issues that they think we ought to talk about, we then will contact the people and bring them on.
Absolutely. Listen, guys, Facebook, YouTube, and Black Independent page. Like us, follow us. We'll see you next Sunday. We're going to do this every Sunday at 6, correct?
We are doing it every Sunday at 6. You're also going to see us on occasion on Wednesdays, but we will send out a teaser the way you did this morning. You knocked it out of the park. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
So you'll see us occasionally on Wednesday if the issues are coming in. We want to fit somebody in. Wednesday is our alternative date, but we will always do Sunday evenings. All right.
So when I was driving in, I says, "Oh, a little like 60 minutes." I used to love 60 minutes on Sunday.
Yeah. So just see us as your new 60-minute replacement. So everybody,
Good night.
a good one. All right. End stream.